Hey everyone. Today, you're not just learning English. You're unlocking the power to change your life. Listen closely. This could be your turning point. The journey of transformation begins with a single step, and through the power of language, determination, and self-belief, you can rewrite your story. This motivational and inspirational tale, crafted for English learners, follows the life of Aisha, a young woman who discovers that learning a new language opens doors to opportunities she never imagined. Through her struggles, triumphs, and relentless spirit, you'll find inspiration to take control of your own destiny. Let's dive into her story, a journey of courage, growth, and life-changing moments. Aisha sat on the edge of her small, creaky bed in a cramped apartment on the outskirts of a bustling city. The walls were peeling, and the single bulb overhead flickered, casting shadows that danced like ghosts of her past. At 23, Aisha felt trapped. She worked long hours at a textile factory, stitching clothes she could never afford, her hands calloused and her dreams fading. Born in a small village, she had moved to the city with hopes of a better life, but reality had been harsher than her imagination. Every evening, after a grueling 12-hour shift, Aisha would collapse on her bed, too exhausted to think. But tonight was different. As she stared at the cracked ceiling, a memory stirred, a conversation with her late grandmother, who had always believed in her. Aisha, her grandmother had said, her voice soft but firm, "The world is bigger than this village. Learn to speak its language, and it will open its arms to you." At the time, Aisha had dismissed it as an old woman's wishful thinking. English, the language her grandmother spoke of, seemed like a distant star, beautiful but unreachable. In her village, no one spoke it. At the factory, no one needed it. Yet, that night, her grandmother's words echoed in her mind, refusing to be ignored. Aisha sat up, her heart pounding. She didn't know how, but she felt a spark, a tiny, fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, she could change her life. The next morning, Aisha woke with a sense of purpose she hadn't felt in years. She didn't have much, just a few crumpled bills saved from her meager wages and an old smartphone her cousin had given her. But she had determination. At the factory, during her lunch break, she overheard a coworker mention a free English learning app. That evening, she downloaded it, her fingers trembling as she tapped the screen. The app was simple, designed for beginners. It started with basic words. "Hello, thank you, my name is Aisha," repeated them aloud, her voice hesitant at first. The unfamiliar sounds felt clumsy on her tongue, but each word was a small victory. She practiced in the dim light of her apartment, her reflection in the cracked mirror her only audience. Days turned into weeks. Aisha's routine changed. Instead of collapsing after work, she spent an hour each night studying. She wrote new words on scraps of paper, taping them to her walls. Dream, future, success. The words surrounded her, a reminder of what she was fighting for. But it wasn't easy. At the factory, her coworkers mocked her. "Why bother?" One sneered. "English won't get you out of here." Aisha's cheeks burned, but she pressed on. Doubt crept in during her weakest moments, when her phone battery died, when she mispronounced a word, when exhaustion made her want to give up. Yet, every time she faltered, her grandmother's voice pulled her back. One evening, as Aisha struggled with a lesson on verb tenses, her phone buzzed. It was a notification from the app, inviting users to join a virtual English conversation group. Her stomach churned. Speaking with strangers? In English. The idea terrified her. But something inside her whispered, "This is your chance." The virtual meeting was scheduled for Saturday evening. Aisha spent the week preparing, practicing simple phrases. "Nice to meet you. I'm learning English. Please speak slowly." When the day arrived, she sat cross-legged on her bed, her phone propped up against a pillow. Her heart raced as she joined the call. The group was small, with learners from around the world. There was Maria from Brazil, who dreamed of becoming a nurse, Ahmed from Egypt, who wanted to travel, and Priya from India, who hoped to work in tech. The moderator, a kind woman named Sarah, welcomed everyone warmly. "Don't be afraid to make mistakes," she said. "That's how we learn." Aisha's turn came too quickly. "Hello," she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. "My name is Aisha. I want to learn English for better life." Her face flushed, but to her surprise, no one laughed. Instead, Maria clapped, and Ahmed gave her a thumbs up through the screen. That night, Aisha spoke more than she ever had in English. She stumbled, mispronounced words, and forgot grammar rules, but she kept going. By the end of the call, she was smiling, her fear replaced by a quiet confidence. For the first time, she felt like she belonged to something bigger than herself. The conversation group became a weekly ritual. Aisha looked forward to it, not just for the practice, but for the friendships she was forming. Maria shared stories of her nursing studies. Ahmed talked about his love for history, and Priya taught Aisha tech terms like algorithm and coding. Their dreams inspired Aisha to dream bigger. Months passed, and Aisha's English improved steadily. She could now hold simple conversations, read short articles, and even understand parts of English songs. But she wanted more. She wanted to use her skills to change her life, not just practice them in her room. One day, while scrolling through her phone, Aisha stumbled upon a job listing for a customer service representative at an international call center. The requirements included basic English proficiency and a high school diploma. Aisha had both. Her heart raced. This was her chance. She spent days preparing her application, carefully crafting a resume with help from her conversation group. Maria proofread it. Ahmed suggested adding a cover letter, and Priya helped her practice interview questions. When the day of the interview arrived, Aisha was nervous but ready. The interviewer, a stern woman named Ms. Kapoor, asked Aisha why she wanted the job. Aisha took a deep breath. "I want to change my life," she said in English, her voice steady. "Learning English has given me hope, and this job is my chance to build a better future." Ms. Kapoor nodded, her expression softening. A week later, Aisha received a call. She got the job. Aisha's first day at the call center was overwhelming. The office was bright and modern, a stark contrast to the factory. Her colleagues spoke English fluently, and the customers, many from other countries, expected quick, clear responses. Aisha struggled to keep up. She made mistakes, misinterpreting questions or fumbling her words. At the end of her first week, she felt defeated. That evening, she called Maria, tears in her eyes. "I'm not good enough," she said. "Maybe I don't belong here." Maria listened patiently, then said, "Aisha, you didn't learn English overnight. You worked hard, and you're still learning. This job is just another step. You're stronger than you think." Inspired by Maria's words, Aisha doubled her efforts. She recorded her calls, listening to them to improve her pronunciation. She asked her supervisor for feedback taking notes on how to handle difficult customers. She stayed late, practicing scripts until her responses were smooth. Slowly, she improved. Customers began complimenting her patience and clarity. Her colleagues, once distant, started seeking her help with tricky calls. Aisha's confidence grew, and with it, her dreams. She started saving money, hoping to one day enroll in a college course or start her own business. A year later, Aisha's life was unrecognizable. She had moved into a small but comfortable apartment, with walls she painted herself and a desk where she continued her English studies. Her job at the call center had given her stability, but more importantly, it had given her purpose. One evening, Aisha received a message from Sarah, the conversation group moderator. Sarah was starting a nonprofit to teach English to underprivileged women, and she wanted Aisha to join as a volunteer teacher. "You're an inspiration," Sarah wrote. "Your story could motivate others." Aisha was hesitant. Teach. She was still learning herself, but she thought of her grandmother, who had believed in her when no one else did. She thought of the factory workers who mocked her, who might still be trapped in their own doubts. She said yes. Her first class was nerve-wracking. The room was filled with women like her, tired, hopeful, uncertain. Aisha shared her story, her voice trembling at first, but growing stronger. "I was like you," she said. "I thought I couldn't do it. But I learned English, and it changed my life. You could do it too." The women listened, their eyes wide. Some nodded, others wiped away tears. By the end of the class, they were practicing basic phrases, laughing at their mistakes, and encouraging each other. Aisha felt a warmth in her chest, a sense of purpose she had never known. 2 years after that fateful night when Aisha decided to learn English, she stood at a crossroads. She had been promoted to a team leader at the call center. Her savings were growing, and her volunteer work was touching lives. But her dreams were bigger now. She wanted to study business, to start a company that empowered women like her. She wanted to travel, to see the world her grandmother had spoken of. Aisha enrolled in an online business course, using her English skills to navigate lectures and assignments. She continued teaching, her classes growing as more women heard her story. Her conversation group friends, Maria, Ahmed, and Priya, remained her cheerleaders, celebrating her milestones and sharing their own. One evening, as Aisha prepared for a class, she looked around her apartment. The walls were no longer bare. They were covered with photos of her students, her friends, and her travels. The cracked mirror was gone, replaced by one that reflected a confident, determined woman. Aisha smiled. She had changed her life, just as she had promised herself. Aisha's story is more than a tale of learning English. It's a testament to the power of belief, perseverance, and taking that first, terrifying step. Like Aisha, you have the potential to change your life. The tools are in your hands, whether it's a language, a skill, or a dream you've buried deep. Today is your turning point. So what's your next step? Will you open that app, join that class, or take that chance? The world is waiting, and it speaks your language. Unlock your power. Change your life.